Hi, everybody. Very welcome to a quite spontaneous Sunday night live stream. I know I haven't gone out publicly that I was going to do this, and the reason is that I don't know if my internet is going to hold up. My normal router, that is really bad to start with, is not working. So, right now, I'm streaming straight off my mobile phone, and I have no idea how long that's going to work for. But anyway, we're going to try this for as long as it's absolutely possible. I hope that some of you have had a chance to sign in, and while we're waiting for more people to realize that this is actually going, I'm going to just switch over to the intro. So stay with me, okay? Right, guys. So at the moment, it looks like the stream is holding up, so we just keep going for as long as we can. Let's see who's here. We have Jerome Adel, FBI is here. That's nice to see. And Julia, great to see some females here as well. I hope that you have many questions and that you're getting ready with them. So, what I wanted to say as well is I have a few things that I wanted to cover. People have been having both positive and negative comments about me doing a special broadcast about the recent Southwest events. So the reason that I did a special video about the Southwest incident was because there was so many people who contacted me, who asked me questions, who were worried about how the CFM 56 engines were actually performing and things like that. And when I got a lot of questions like that, I really felt that I needed to respond to some of them. So that's why I did it. I did not do it to try to ride on top of a bad incident. I don't do those things, and rest assured that I never do videos about incidents that are questionable, things where the investigation is still ongoing. I wouldn't dream about trying to go in and guess what happened before an official NTSB investigation was finished. So that's not what this channel is about. But I am listening to you guys. I am listening to my followers out there. And if you guys have a lot of questions about a specific incident, well, then I can gather up whatever little I know, what kind of information is out there, and I can give you some feedback on that. And that's what I did. That's why I did the video like that. And I understand that people think that I'm, got upset by me doing it. And I really hope that people understand that what I am trying to do is explain things to people, right? That's why I'm here, and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying that. So, Jake Schroeder, you're the first one in the super chat. Thank you very much for helping in the helping to support the channel. So let's see. Would the pilots have been able to see the engine damage from the cockpit? How visible are the engines from the 700 compared to the 800? No, they wouldn't. I haven't flown the 700 myself. I have been trained on it though, but we don't see the engines. We can just barely see the outboard part of the wing from the cockpit, so you wouldn't be able to see the engine. You would have to rely on the engine instrumentation and whatever connection that you get to the cabin crew and whatever report they give you on what passengers have been reporting. And I know that there's been a lot of people sending in questions like, why don't they just put cameras there? And I have no good answer to that. With today's technology, it would be really easy to just put some outboard cameras to show the wings, to show the stabilizer, the fin, all of that, but it's not. And I'm guessing that it probably has to do with certification. You know, certification is always an issue when it comes to new technology being fitted to an aircraft. It has to be tested out. It's very costly, and it has to work. It has to perform well under pressure, stuff like that. So it's possible that it has to do with cost of development. But yeah, I would love to be able to switch over to view the engines, for example, from one of our DUs if we had a kind of damage like that. Abu Sarsha, thank you very much for contributing as well. Now that you didn't have a question, so you can send that in on Facebook if you had a real question to it. Dog Paulie, good to see you here, Dog. Hi, Mentor. How do you feel about the Dutch courage, alcohol to help get over flying nerves? Is it always ill-advised? Yeah, drinking alcohol to calm your nerves is very rarely a good idea. It tends to just get you into a foul mood, or it might help for a little while, but then you'll be getting a hangover about halfway down the flight, or you might start acting in a way that you don't really want to act when you get into the cabin. Um, we encounter a lot of people who appear to be under the influence of alcohol. We cannot say that they are, because we haven't performed any alcohol tests on them. But people who ingest a large amount of alcohol before flying tend not to do too great. I do not. You know, Having a beer with your friends to kind of relax yourself is one thing, but to use alcohol as a treatment for your nerves, if you're a nervous flyer, is not something that I would recommend anyone to do. It very rarely works. I recommend some kind of therapy to go through, and to learn as much as you can about aviation, about the aircraft that you're going to fly on and stuff like that, because that tends to be better. It's a better way of calming you down when you know what you're getting yourself into. Great. So let's see if we have some people. I don't know if, because I've actually forgotten to send out a message on the Mentour Aviation app. I'm going to get that done right now, actually, so that people can start asking questions to the app. I hope you guys have gotten it. There's loads of people who have just gotten in there. I see there's a lot of new users, which is always great to see. I saw 3 or 4 or 5 of them just last time I was in. So check out the app and send in questions through the app. Let's see. I'm gonna get a push out that this is on. There we go. Cool. There we go. So now there should be a push going out to all of the users inside of the Mentour Aviation app as well. And while we're waiting, we can take some questions from the top chat here. Can you get a pilot license before the age of 18 years old? Yeah, you can. However, I think that you're going to have to be, you can start your training when you're 17, and you can get a glider's license when you're 15. And some countries are different when it comes to certification ages. But in Europe, at least, you need to be 18 to lift your PPL and your commercial license, I believe. So you can start your training when you're 17 and then finishing it off and then lift the license as you pass your 18th birthday. So how hard is approach to EGLC to fly? EGLC, I don't know all of these codes by heart, so I'm gonna have to check that up. It's in the UK, London City. Yeah, London City I've never flown into. It has a much steeper glide slope than all the other airports, which is why there's only few types of aircraft that can actually fly in there. I believe the Avro 100 is one of them that flies passengers in. The reason that they have a steep glide slope is for noise. All right, they don't want the aircraft to come in and cause a lot of noise over central parts of London. So they've devised the glide slope to be steeper, which means that there's less noise coming in over the city, but also means that aircraft like the 737, for example, can't actually come in and land there. So I've never been there. I don't think that it's particularly hard if you fly an aircraft that is suitable to fly a steep glide slope like that. So let's see, there's starting to be questions coming in from the Mentour Aviation app here. Mentor, hi Mentor, what can you recommend on getting a job within aviation? I loved your channel and you really inspired me to join the aviation industry. It's a very broad question. We all aspire, all of you guys who are out there doing your training, getting your licenses is of course aspiring to get into the airline business, and you can do that in several ways. So the most common way obviously is trying to get into an airline. That's what most of us are trying for, but there are other jobs out there as well. There are jobs, for example, in the private sector. You can fly private jets, which some of the users like Ava, for example, inside of the app is doing. There's also some quite cool jobs up in Alaska where you can fly tourists around, doing real bush flying, or doing fire surveillance or fire extinguishing, actually. There's loads of different jobs inside of the aviation sector, so don't get too focused on just one. If you're one of those who are looking into trying to build your hours, for example, then there's many ways that you can do that in order to get your hours up, in order to apply for one of those airline jobs later on, if that's what you want. But when it comes to actually applying, there's make sure that you have a well-written CV. Try to get first-time passes on your ATPL exams if you can, and then just apply to as many airline jobs as you can, and don't worry about where they are. Just make sure that you have licenses that covers it, and that's it. I mean, there's no like magic key that I can give you guys. I wish I could. So let's see, there's loads of questions coming in on the normal chat here. If you guys have something that you really want me to cover, then use the super chat, because that one I can see and pops up immediately. Is there pilots with diabetes? Yeah, there are actually pilots with diabetes. Up until very recently, it was impossible to fly. If you had diabetes, you had to stop flying. Okay, and I believe that in most of the cases, in order to get your class 1 medical, you can't have diabetes still. But there are some changes. Recently, the Ireland and the UK have been trying out people who already had their license and then they acquired diabetes. They have in some cases been able to continue to fly, providing that they follow some really rigorous testing scheme, control of their food, control of their diet, all of that. In that case, they can actually continue to fly, providing that they're licensed under these states that have this. So there are some changes on the way. If you're ever going to get to get your class 1 medical with diabetes, that's very hard to say. But yes, there are people with diabetes who are flying right now. Let's see. Right, so from Mindegaus Vaichinas, sorry, my pronunciation is really poor. Hi Mentor, would it be possible to get a pilot license for as low as around 50,000 euro taking up modular training? I seriously want to take off flying. Yeah, I would say around 50,000 if you're going modular. Is probably where you end up. Okay, that's without the type rating though, I should say. But as we've all seen now the last couple of years, or the last couple of months really, there's starting to be airlines who are paying for your type rating. So that's good news. But for 50,000, you should be able to get a modular training gun. You're gonna have to look, search for flight schools who are both providing good quality training and low prices. It might take a while to kind of navigate yourself through that, but yes, for 50,000 euro you should be able to do it the modular way. In some cases there are actually integrated courses that are around the same price, but I would say normally around 50,000 euros if you are self-sponsoring is what you can expect in order to find good quality training. Good, so alright, so now I'm a little bit behind here on my super chat questions. Hi Mentor, great work. What do you think about this explosion in content about flying? YouTube, vlogs, case NASA pilot, in terms of security and culture? Yeah, it's a great question actually. As you've noticed with my channel, I don't do in-flight videos at all, alright? And that's because my airline strictly forbids that. Unless you have very special permission directly from the chief pilot to do so. When it comes to people doing it, like you have really good examples of some really high quality content, like Flight Shops. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, you should really check that out. Stevie One Knievel is doing some really great stuff as well. But they're doing it, in case of Flight Shop, for example, he's doing it by himself when he's flying his under his PPL. All right, he's learning different aircraft type, and he's learning to fly tail draggers and doing aerobatics and stuff like that, and that's perfectly okay. Same with Stevie One Knievel, who's flying a can't remember which type he's flying, but it's a smaller aircraft anyway, where he clearly has gotten permission to do that kind of filming. When it comes to commercial aviation, it's very, very likely that whatever airline you fly for is going to have a very strict policy on what kind of personal electronic devices or kind of filming you can do while you're flying. So I don't really like the tendency I've seen lately with people trying to film during flight at all, because we should be focusing on other stuff then. So I like the fact that there's a lot of content out there, like the content that I'm doing, that Captain Joe is doing, for example, that is about explaining systems and explaining what we do, and doing that either in a cockpit on the ground or in a studio somewhere. That's perfectly okay. But a lot of people, especially new people coming into the industry, taking up their GoPro cameras or putting up GoPro cameras without asking, or sitting with the mobile phones filming while we're operating. That is not good, right? So there's always, you have to use your common sense here. This is why I did that video about pilots misbehaving on social media, because you always have to use your brain. You know, you have to realize that who's seeing this, people who are seeing what you're producing and what you're putting out, is going to be either your current bosses or your future bosses or your colleagues. So whatever it is that you're putting on the internet, you have to be able to stand for. Anything that I say here, anything that I say on my videos, I can motivate. I can say, well, I said that because, right? I can motivate. You never know. Sometimes there's something that comes out wrong or people misunderstands, but at least what I'm saying is based on my own experience. I'm not talking for anyone else. I'm only talking for myself, and I can motivate what I'm saying with the knowledge that I have accrued during my 16 years. Okay, so but that's not always the case, right? So just be careful if you are getting yourself into this, into the social media part of it. Be careful with what you do, because you can seriously damage your future career if you're not careful. What do you know, recommend about the APC program? Well, I did a video with the head of training of Ryanair about their APC program, the APS program that they call it. I think it's a great step in the right direction. I think that the APC is kind of taking the best out of two worlds, the best out of the MPL road, which was a great thought. You know, the MPL, the idea behind the MPL was to kind of tailor make training for airline pilots, so that you don't have to go through the general aviation part of the training. You can go straight for start and think about SOPs, thinking about flying bigger aircraft, things like that. Because loads of people who are going through the training, they're not really after flying Cessnas to small fields somewhere. They only want to do it because they want to become airline pilots, and that's what MPL was about. It was more focused on simulator training, procedures aimed at specific airlines. Now, it wasn't widely adapted because it became very expensive, and people were kind of connected to the airlines that they had signed up with, and in some cases that was a problem. But the APC, the idea behind the APC is to do precisely that, but at the end of your CPL training. So instead of doing a separate MCC course connected with a separate type rating, connected with a separate jet orientation course, the APC is doing all of that, and it's kind of taking people who've done their CPL course, their multi-engine, and then they're about to do their MCC, and they're being tested to get into an airline, and then the airline sorts out the type rating and the like I said, the MCC and the jet orientation course with the SOPs that will be used when the pilot comes out online. So that way they know that when people are learning how to become good pilots in a dual pilot environment, that is being controlled by the airline they're going to work for. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a step in the right direction, and especially if the airline is the one who's actually putting up the money for it, even though it might be through bonding later on, I think it's good, right? I think that's the way that the industry needs to go. Right, so I have a question here regarding the Mentour 360 app. All right, this is quite important, guys. So Mentour 360, the Mentour 360 app was the first app that I did. It's still out there. I'm still selling it. It's not being updated with new videos. It's just the videos that are in there. And when you get the Mentour 360 app, you get the videos, all right? There is a problem with some Android devices that we have not, me and my developers have been looking like crazy to try to find why some, very few, but some Android devices are not working. They just get the briefing video prompt at the bottom. If that happens, okay, if that happens and you've bought the Mentour 360 app, then what I want you to do is just get the Mentour Aviation app, which is my new app. That's where everything is happening. Just send me a private message there saying that you had problems with your Mentour 360 app, and I can fix the same videos. So I can just make sure that my developers upgrade so that you get access to those videos. All right, but we are going to have to check that you had bought that the app beforehand. Otherwise, everyone is going to tell me that they have, and it cost me about I don't know. It's about five. It's about, I think it's about 10 euros every time this happens. So it will cost me money to do that, to to upgrade your Mentour Aviation app to include these things. So please, only if you've had this particular problem with the Mentor 360, then send me a message, and I make sure that you get access to the videos that you bought. All right. This is a very few people who've had this problem with the Mentor 360 app, but I do understand that it is a problem, and I will fix it because obviously you've earned it. Technology Nerd 18. So, hi Mentor Pilot. I am 14 and I want to become a pilot when I grow up. Any tips? Yeah. This channel is all about this, right? This channel is all about giving you tips, help, and support, moral support, as well as motivation in order to achieve your dreams. What I would like you to do is go back to the beginning of my channel and start watching the videos, because in the beginning of my channel I was talking a lot about this, how I became a pilot, which is something I'm going to redo, by the way. I'm going to do some more videos about how I actually become a pilot, better quality, more kind of meat on the bone. But go in and check that out. There is a video called How to Become a Pilot, which shows, explains the modular way, the integrated way, and then there is a playlist containing everything about pilot licensing, who's talking about the different types of pilot licenses that are around and things like that. So go and check that out first, and if you have any direct questions after that, then get the Mentour Aviation app. It's completely free. Like, there are stuff in there that you can buy, but you don't have to buy anything. You can get the app for free, and you can go into the chat, register there, and you can start asking me questions directly or ask other people questions whenever something comes up. And it's a huge crew of great people in there who just love to share their experience. So do that. That's my best advice for now. Become a pilot in the soon future with diabetes, from Svenska Rallyvideos. Yeah, like I said, you never know what's going to happen. There's a lot of research being done around diabetes, and it's also depending a little bit on how bad your diabetes is. But at the moment, you can't get a class 1 medical, so you can't get your initial class 1 medical issued if you have diabetes. But like I said, there are some pilots who are now flying with diabetes who had their initial already issued. So since that is happening, it's likely that that's going to be evaluated, and possibly in the future you might be able to get it. But at the moment, as far as I know, it's not possible. Sorry. Will there be pilots in the future like 2030? I certainly hope so, because I'm definitely intending to fly by 2030. Yeah, I've done a video on this as well. So if you want to check that out, if pilots are going to be replaced by robots, then have a look at it. For for a lot of different reasons, I don't think that it's going to be a problem for the next 30 years or so. Not because the technology doesn't exist, because the technology is there, right? They could probably do it, but there's a lot of trust issues from the general public. Would you want to get into an aircraft that doesn't have any pilots in it? B, certification issues. Certification is a huge deal. Only to get a new aircraft certified. If you want to build a new aircraft right now, let's say that you have the AI needed, you want to start building an aircraft and get it certified, only that is about 15 to 20 years, right? And then all the airlines out there who have already bought billions of dollars worth of aircraft, they're not going to just scrap the aircraft they have because there's a new aircraft out that flies with AI. They're going to use them until it's time to change it, and then, and only then, are they going to start changing those aircraft for pilotless aircraft. So that's what I'm saying, that the aircraft that are flying today, they can fly for another 30 years. Even then, I've been flying for 16 years, and during those 16 years, the only thing that has really happened is that the VNAV and the RNAV systems have become much more advanced. Apart from that, not much have changed. So there's going to have to be a huge leap and a huge change before pilots completely disappear, right? They will. Eventually, all jobs that you think of, almost every single job that you can think of will disappear, because it's going to be replaced by artificial intelligence and robots. The robots are, 10 years smarter than us, millions of times smarter than us. So things are changing, but the airline business changes very, very slowly, and it's really annoying sometimes, but really good other times. So, Adriano or R. Passarelli, thank you very much. Hi, Mentor. Are type ratings retroactive? I mean, are you officially rated to fly a 737-100, for example, and would it be okay in terms of handling and switches? They are retroactive to a certain extent. All right. For me, for example, when I got my type rating on the 737-800, I got immediately rated on the 737-300 to 900, including the BBJs, and it's also going to include the Maxes. All right. And the reason I can't fly the 100 or the 200 is because the systems are so different, the engines are so different that my type rating is not valid anymore. So I would need to be retrained on that. Okay, so to a certain extent, yes, but I can't just go tomorrow and put myself in a 737-300. Even though I have the rating, I can't do it. I need to have what's called a difference training. All right, that means that I have to go and I have to do probably some computer-based training and possibly a sim check as well. I don't really need a sim check, but it could be that the company that I would fly it for would require that. But I would definitely need to go through all the differences before I could go out and fly that thing. Okay, so there it is a yes and a no as always when it comes to the airline business. Technology Nerd 18. Hi, I am 14 years old and I want to become a pilot when I grow up, and it tips. So I think I already talked about that a little while ago. Let's see, so I haven't missed anything. Right, cool. I'll go to the next one. Hi, Mentor. Hope all is well. If two captains are flying together, can either one make a PA if necessary, or only the pilot in command can do that? No, both of them can do that. It's not a problem. Generally speaking, the pilot in command does the PA, the initial welcoming PA, and that's because the pilot in command is going to be the one who does the evacuation PA, and we want to make sure that the passengers have kind of heard and recognizes the voice of the pilot in command. However, what we tend to do if we fly two captains is that even though one of us is going to have been designated the pilot in command by the company, we switch seats. So one of us sits to the left, that one acts as the captain, one sits to the right, that one acts as the first officer, and then you switch, and then you do every other like that. So that's how we do it in reality. The pilot in command is more of a, for example, in most cases, I will be designated the pilot in command because I am a quite senior. B, I am a type rating instructor and examiner and a line training captain. And when you have those qualifications, that tends to put you up as the pilot in command in most cases. But it doesn't mean that I won't let the other pilot, the other captain who I'm flying with, do all of those actions. Right? It's just I would ultimately be the one responsible. That's it. So, let's see. Hey Mentor. No, this is in Swedish. I'm going to read it in Swedish and then I'll translate it, okay? Skulle du rekommendera SAAs Professional Pilot Program för 890k Swedish kronor? Man får CPL, ATPL, ME, IR, MCC and APC. And I'm going to, okay. So what Haxel is asking is, would you recommend SAA's Professional Pilot Program for 890k? That's about 90, actually it's a little bit less actually. It's about 88,000 euros. You get CPL, ATPL, multi-engine, instrument rating, MCC and APC. Yes. Yes, I would. In very, very few cases can I say that I can recommend the school, but in the case of SAA, I actually can because I have gone to that school myself. Right, I know the people who are there. I have worked together as part of this channel. For example, the videos that I did about with the medical doctor, where we discussed different things regarding pilot medicals, I did together with SAA. So I actually know them quite well. And in that case, I can go in and say that yes, if you go in and you buy that program, you are going to get high quality training. All right, but I get a lot of questions like this from a lot of different people about a lot of different flight schools, and in most cases I can't say anything because I refuse to endorse a school that I don't know. All right, so I can't go in and say, well, this is going to be great because I don't know them. I would have to go there, I would have to visit them, I would have to see what kind of what kind of background they have, what kind of training facilities and material they have, how good their instructors are before I can say that. But in the case of SAA, I did a training with them in Västerås myself. However, that was a while ago, should be said. But from what I can see and from what I could see when I was there visiting them, the quality of training has just become better since I went there. So yeah, I think that they have a good quality product that is priced probably quite reasonably. I would say that their training program is probably just as high as the bigger schools in the UK, but for less money. So they have a good product. Whether or not you think that it's worth it, because you can still get away and find training cheaper than that, that's a different thing. Right? You can still get really good training for less money than that. But yeah, the training that they will provide you with, if you are accepted, is going to be good. They will check you. They will make sure that you have what it takes before you start, which is also something that I require before I recommend the school. If you get into the YH program, as in the government sponsor program, then that's fantastic. And there's a reason that they have that program. You know, the Swedish state have evaluated them and the TFHS in Ystad as well, and they found them both to be good enough in order to sustain a program like that. So that will tell you something. American Aviator, great to have you here. On the 737, do the slats come out fully by just setting flaps 1 degree, or is it just like Airbus where each flap has the slat come out slowly as well? There are two settings. So the Fowler flaps goes out fully. It only has one, right? So if you select flaps 1, the Fowler flaps will extend, and that's it. The slats, however, they have a medium setting, so a extend and a full extend. And you go with flaps 1 and flaps 5, it goes out to extend. And from flaps 10, if you're not flying a short field performance aircraft, from flaps 10 they will go to fully extend, right? And then they will be fully extended for the rest of the flaps coming after that. If you're flying a short field takeoff performance 737, I believe that it comes out now. I have to check that out because I've read it, but I can't remember. But I think it comes out with either flaps 25 or flaps 30 to full extend instead. So it has a little bit less drag, which can be a problem. Sometimes we choose flaps 10 just to get the leading edge slats out so that we get some extra drag, so that helps to slow the aircraft down. And if you're flying a short field performance 737, you take flaps 10 and the only thing you get is flap 10. You don't get the slats out, so it doesn't decelerate as you used to. But that's it. So yeah, it is. I don't know Airbus, but I think it's similar. So Antimony, late to the party. Well, you're still here. But it seems cable cutters worked last week. Yeah, well, actually, I'm ashamed to say, but it seems like my mobile phone as a hotspot is working better than my designated modem did. So right now, this is the hero, right? This is what I'm actually streaming by. Anyway, regarding the 787 90-degree takeoff video, please debunk what is max legal takeoff angle. All right, it's not. It only looks like it's 90 degrees. There is no max takeoff angle, all right, but above 20 degrees, we normally don't pitch up more than 20 degrees. Above 25 degrees or so, it starts to be an unusual attitude that requires attention. So, you know, what you probably saw on that would probably be something like 30, 35 degree pitch up, maybe maximum. It wouldn't be more than that, because it simply wouldn't take it, right? Even if it's a test pilot who does it, you wouldn't want to put yourself in a position like that, for the simple reason that if something does happen, even if you have the performance to do it, which, I mean, if they're going full blast on an empty 787, they could probably do it for a few seconds. The problem is, once you want to recover, especially if you have an engine failure or something happens, you will be truly and utterly screwed. Okay, so I would say that it looks very dramatic from the angle, and let's say a 35 degree pitch up would look really, really dramatic, but it's not a 90 degree. I can guarantee you that. Right, did you cut your neighbor's internet cable off from every type of video? Listen, the funny thing is, right outside here, all right. So the telephone company, who's the internet provider, refuses to give me internet. All right, they refuses to give me fiber internet, which is what I need in order to do really good live streams. All right, but they have provided fiber to the school, which is just next door. So outside here on the street, there is a perfectly good fiber cable running, but I can't access it. Okay, which is driving me nuts because I really need good internet. Not only to do this, but to upload videos. When I do changes to videos, it will take me hours to upload a new video if I've changed it. So I would love to be able to go out with a box cutter and get myself into that cable. At the moment I can't though. They will put me in jail, and I'm pretty sure that I won't be able to live stream from there. Great, so let's see if we have some more questions inside the Mentour Aviation app. So, hi Mentor, how do you manage to move away from home if you get a job in another country? Cost, passport, home, and so on. Yeah, it's a great question actually. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt to move country, I can say that. But it is perfectly possible, especially if you're doing it inside of a region like I am inside of the European Union. Because for me, changing country is pretty much like moving inside of the country, since we can use the same passport. There's just some problems when it comes to the tax authorities. You have to make sure that you're legally moving yourself out of the country into the new country, and that you establish yourself and that you pay taxes in the right country. Things like that. Getting your car moved to the new country was a real pain, much more of a pain than actually moving house. And then, of course, the cost of moving. Some airlines will pay you a specific fee if they require you to move from one country to another. You might get extra time off and maybe possibly even a moving fee. Other airlines, especially if you're doing it on your own accord, if you have applied to move to a different base, they might not pay you anything, and in that case, you'd have to move. And it depends on, if you have a small apartment, maybe you just pack your stuff into a couple of suitcases and you go. In my case, I had to sell my house. I had to fill up everything I had in my house into a couple of trucks, and they had to drive down to Spain. That cost money. So I would guess my move maybe cost between 5 or 10,000 euros to do, which it hurt, but still okay. Still, it was still easily worth it. Right, so let's see, guys. Congrats on nearly 200,000 subs. I was here since 40k. Thank you, every type of video. Yeah, it looks like I might be reaching 200,000 subscribers tomorrow, actually. So stay tuned for that. It's fantastic. It's great. I mean, it took me almost 3 years to reach 100,000, and it's taking me 2 months to reach 200,000. I am humbled, happy, and I am so glad that there's so many of you out here who thinks that it's worth giving me a few minutes of your time to watch whatever little video that I put together. I am really, really happy that you guys like it, and I'm gonna try to continue to find new stuff that is interesting. I've gotten the feeling that a lot of you want me to do the type of videos that I did this Friday, which is a little bit more technical. What I'm aiming at doing is I'm aiming at explaining some of the aircraft system inside of the 737, but in the same type of way that I did in my previous video, which is using real life examples, simplifying it a little bit. I'm not going to go into specific technical detail, but I'm going to try to explain how it works. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? If it is, just type yes. Oh, by the way, Mentor Cops, I am working on that. Mentor Cops is on the way. I will let you guys know as soon as I can. Let's see is what people are saying here. Yes, that's a great idea. Is there mandatory retirement age for pilots? Yeah, 65. 65 is mandatory retirement age for pilots. Great. So you guys seem to be enjoying that idea, and I guess that you guys, the 621 of you who's watching right now, you tend to be part of my core viewers, right? So I was expecting you guys to like that idea. We'll see what the other 195 or 199 to 1,500 people think. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do, no matter what, because that's what I can do. There's only so many 737 secrets that I can share with you. Right, so let's see. There's a couple of more questions here. Here in the UK, I'm too close to the telephone exchange to get fiber internet. Red tape is ridiculous in Sweden and in UK. I sympathize. Yeah, dog. You know what I mean in that case. Shlomi Helowitz. What can religious people who can't work certain days of the week do in the United States? Racism law. Um, yeah, the when it comes to racism and when it comes to things like religious freedom acts and things like that, I think that jobs. I'm just guessing because I don't know the law in the U.S. But I'm thinking that occupations, like for example the pilot occupation, might be exempt to a certain extent from those type of things because of the nature of the job. So it's very hard to employ someone who will not work on the Sabbath, for example, because the rostering would be a nightmare. Same thing with Christmas, Hanukkah, the any religious holiday. Um, it's going to be hard for the airline to accommodate anyone who wants a special roster because of their religion. Okay, now there might be airlines who do this. Okay, but I would expect that most airlines would probably not agree. They would tell you that okay, we can offer you unemployment, but we cannot let you have a roster that have you off on your religious holidays, and then it would be up to you to then choose to do that. And by doing it like that, they would circumnavigate those kind of things. That's my guess anyway. And once again, now I'm out on a little bit of thin ice because I'm not sure exactly what the rules say. But I would, at least here in Europe, if I, for example, said that I want to have Christmas off because I'm a Christian, they would laugh at me and they would say, well, so are we. I'm working on Christmas. Deal with it and keep working. That's the way it works here. How it is in the US, not sure. How to do? How would you finance a cadet program since some banks don't give loans for pilot training? Yeah, this is the eternal question, and this is why I am working on trying to push pressure on flight schools, but especially airlines, to finance more of the training, because it is hard. Right? It used to be banks that were able to give loans, but it's always been against some kind of security, like your mom's or dad's house or something like that. Now, I know that there are schools that have started to make individual deals with banks, like SAA that we were talking about before, actually have some new type of financing plan where the bank doesn't need any security. So if you are accepted into their program, I'm going to put a little caveat here because I'm not sure exactly what the deal is. But as far as I've understood, if you're accepted in to the flight training, you can get financing through a specific bank. I don't know if you need to be Swedish to do that or from any of the Scandinavian countries. It might be the case, but that bank basically does not need other security than the fact that you've done the tests and that you've been accepted, which is a great step forward. And I'm hoping that stuff like that is going to become more and more usual, more and more common. Because I like the fact what I really dislike is when I see talented and potentially great pilots not being able to become pilots because they can't afford the training. That makes me angry, and I wish there would be a good solution to that. At the moment, there's not too many, but they're starting to pop up as the pilot shortage becomes bigger. Sean Rady, thank you very much for supporting. Hi Mentor, is it possible to get a loan or grant from a CPL license in Europe? I am doing my PPL in Ireland and it's so expensive to fly here. Yeah, that goes back to the previous question that I just answered. There are some banks that do this. I think BBVA in UK used to do this. I'm not sure if they still do. Sabadell. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to look this up yourself because I haven't. But like I said, SAA have found some kind of partner bank that does it for them. There might be other flight schools out there as well that have similar things. So check out when you go and you look at a flight school, ask them if they have some kind of financiation option as well. Jordan calls, don't you think it should be a law that pilots should have a mustache or smoke a pipe? It will make people feel safer. I would love such a law. Not the smoke pipe part because that's not great for your health. It look cool though, but we're not allowed to smoke inside of the aircraft in any way. I know that there are some countries that actually doesn't even allow mustaches or beard because there is a feeling that the oxygen mask might not fit as well over the mouth. I have never had a problem though, and as you can see, I wear a beard, so I don't really know where they've gotten that from. But yeah, it might be an old thing. Fun idea though. Thanks. Top 10 facts. Thank you very much for adding. I see that your question didn't come through, so use the Mentour Aviation app and just go into submit feedback. You can send me an email there. It'll come directly to me. And guys, if you want to take part of my Patreon crew, if you want to be part of the people who are previewing my videos, who are coming with real feedback on the videos and telling me, maybe you should change this, or that title should be changed, or I really like that, then go and check out here in the description of the video. There's a link to my Patreon page where you can go in, give $1, give $10 a month, or whatever you feel like you want to help the channel out with. And you're part of my Patreon crew then, which really helps me. It's a great gang of people who are supporting the channel in many different ways. Cool. So guys, I'm going to start to finish this off now. I'll take the last. If you have something that you really want to ask me today, then use the super chat now the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to start to fade out. Sander Lewis, is a drone really enough to bring down a plane? Well, that depends on where that drone hits. All right. If we're coming in at fairly high speed and that drone hits the engine at a critical phase of flight, or when and it causes a kind of engine failure like they had on Southwest last week, where you have a catastrophic failure basically, then yes, it could, right? It wouldn't just take down a plane like in a Hollywood movie where you shoot down a plane. No, it would damage it, and depending on the damage, if it gets lodged inside of the elevator, for example, and it jams the elevator, that could be another thing. So yeah, drones are pieces of metal flying around, all right? And if you have pieces of metal flying around, which meets another piece of metal flying at 300 kilometers per hour, it's bad, potentially. It could damage, if you could fly straight into the windscreen as well, it could severely damage the windscreen or even penetrate the windscreen, which would be really bad. So potentially, yes, and that's why people shouldn't be flying drones around the airports. Hey Kat, thank you very much for your support. Once again, the question did not come through there. Right, guys, I'm going to take the few questions off the Mentour Aviation chat as well before I sign off here. Mentor, what were you interested in before aviation, and what made you change your mind? I really wanted to become an archaeologist. Yeah, I know. I really wanted to become an archaeologist. I thought, and I'm still really interested in history. I loved trying to find pieces, trying to piece together what had happened before, and archaeology fit right into that. And I think the fact that Indiana Jones was quite popular back in the days probably had some impact on it as well. But it changed when I was bitten by the aviation bug, as I described in one of my videos, when I started flying together with my dad, and I realized how cool it was, and I started seeing these airliners, these fantastic machines landing, and I realized that there's a possibility for me to possibly fly one of these things. That's when it changed. Just aviation. Hey. Just sent hey through the super chat. Thank you very much. Steven Silbert as well. Steven, I see you probably had a question. So use either Facebook or the Mentour Aviation app and send me an email, and I will answer your question directly. Why not video to 11? Have you failed a check ride or stage check? What what do you think about pilots who fail the PPL versus CPL? No, I have never failed a stage check or a recurrent training or any of the tests. I've had bad sessions, as in at least one, I think, that was below average, which was because I was really, really nervous because I was flying with an instructor that was known to give bad grades, and I really thought it was important, so I did a really bad job. But I've never failed any of the state checks or any of the actual tests. What I think about it, I think that anyone can have a bad day. All right, I am an examiner myself, and I do line checks and I do simulated checks on people, and I've failed people. So I have, I know that everyone is doing their best once they come into a simulated situation or a test situation. I also know what nerves can do, so I try to do my best to relax people before their check. And if someone fails their check, well, that's just because they haven't reached the required standard. So they need to be retrained, rechecked, and no problem at all with that. I realized that I could do that myself one day. I could have something in the background, maybe I have some stress in my marriage, maybe I haven't prepared as well as I should, and I could fail. And the way I would view that myself is that it would be a blow to my self-esteem, definitely, but I would see it as fail-safe. The system has seen that I'm not, good enough at this particular thing. I need to improve that, and then I need to go and I need to show again that I can actually do it. Once that's done, then the system has worked. So that's the way I view it, right? No one likes to fail anyone, but people have to fail if they're not reaching the required standard, and that's easy as that. Fastest possible landing speed from runway length was, if runway length isn't an issue, that's the longest word that I've ever seen, a cat. Fastest landing speed, well, you can't fly quicker than 175 knots with flaps 30. Okay, so with flaps 40 it's 162 knots and flaps 30 is 175 knots. If you fly faster than that, when you're landing, the flaps 30 will actually automatically retract, and you're not in a landing configuration anymore. So 175 would be the quickest normal landing speed that you can ever do. Okay, then you can do flaps up landings as well if the flaps are not working. That will bring you up to about 190, maybe 200 knots, but you can't land quicker than that because the maximum tire speed is around 195 knots. Okay, if you land with quicker than 195 knots, the tires will blow up because of the centrifugal force. Basically, they can't handle it. They're not built to go quicker than that. So the tire speed is going to be the limiting factor, right? If you have an enormous runway like Frankfurt Hahn, for example. Which plane do you think is better, the 777X or the A350? Fuel economy, range. Also, I love your channel. Keep it up. Well, thank you. I don't know enough about them in order to say which one is best. I think that they're probably really, really good planes at their segments. The 777 and the 777X is going to be really good because it has been tried. It's tried technology that's been improved, okay? And the 777 has been a fantastic aircraft. So 777X is a fantastic aircraft that's a little bit better. So I would expect it to be really good. The Airbus 350 is a wonder of new technology and innovations. It hasn't been flown long enough to evaluate how good it is. But from the figures, the performance data that's out, it looks great. So which one of those are best? It's going to be very hard to say. It depends on if you look at fuel economy, if you look at passenger economy, if you look at how much money they're making, versus how much they cost. So it becomes really, it's not as easy as saying yes or no, or this is better or this is worse, because it all depends on the kind of operation that they're doing. Both of them are fantastic aircraft. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but that's how it is. Message retracted. Sorry about that. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to start finishing up now. So please don't send any more super chat questions because I won't have time to answer them. Are the hydraulic systems more well protected now than before? They're about the same protected. All right, they're all inside of the main wheel well bay of a 737, and they're spread out everywhere to whatever actuator that's needed to be actuated. So, but they are well protected, and they're backups to them. That's the most important thing. You can break one, the other one will still work, and the third one will kick in if you have two ones breaking and stuff like that. So, their security is in the redundancy, the fact that there are many of them. Do you have any stories about flying in thunderstorms and convected weather? Yeah, but they all involve normally diversions. So I've found myself in situations where you can't get through. For example, that you have to divert because there's a squall line with CVs that you just can't pass. I came in here in Girona last year, and there was a CB that was huge, as in it was covering the ILS from runway 20, which we normally land, and it went almost half the way out to Mallorca. Enormous thing. It was even on TV that later that night with the amount of lightning it was producing, and we managed to go out, fly around it, put ourselves in a holding pattern outside of it, wait for it to move away from the runway far enough to be safe away, and then fly into Girona on on very little fuel. But we had our diversion fuel, but just that. So if we either could do that one approach and divert. That was we only had one approach before we had to divert to our alternate. Just still plenty of fuel, but still it's one of those that you sit in the holding and you sit and you start to calculate exactly, can we do an approach? Do we have to divert now? And things like that. And that's when it becomes a bit tricky to sit in the left seat, because you have to make that decision, and the decision you make is going to have an effect on, of course, the travel plans and everything on everyone on board. But what you think about, what I think about, is the safety of both yourself, the aircraft, and every passenger on board. Yeah, guys, that's it. I'm really happy that we didn't have any problem with the internet this time. It seems like I might be using my mobile phone from now on. Guys, have an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are. I really appreciate all the feedback that I've been getting, and all of you guys who are in the Mentour Aviation app chatting away, talking to me and talk to others. Continue doing that. I will be releasing a new video on Friday. I haven't really decided on what it's going to be yet. It's going to be a surprise for you guys. So in any case, wherever you are, take care of yourself. Make sure that you have a great week coming up. Me, myself, I'm going to go to Milan tomorrow, and I'm going to do 1 week in the simulator. So I won't be flying this week. I will be checking people in the simulator. So if you have your roads around the Milan area, let me know, and we might have a coffee. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.